Jai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining us today for our Sunday Feast program. As many of you know, we had a big festival last night, a big flower festival, so tonight's a little smaller crowd. But many of you were here last night and you're here again, so thank you so much. You can now all turn and face this big seat and we'll have our discourse for tonight. Tonight's speaker is Govardhana Dasa Brahmachari Prabhu, right here. Most of you know Govardhan Prabhu, but Govardhan's been in the temple now for just about 4 years. He was practicing Krishna consciousness for some years before that. And now he lives here, and he helps with many services. He serves Krishna in many ways here. He also helps take care of the deities on the altar. But his main service, as many of you already know, is he shares books about Krishna consciousness. He goes to Balboa Park and also many colleges nearby, and he'll set up a table and he'll share these books that Srila Prabhupada wrote. So now he'll give a little discourse. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you. Tujamani Prabhu. So today I'll be speaking from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as it is. If you guys want to follow along, it's chapter 2, text 41. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekaha kurunandana bahushaka hi anantascha buddhayo vyasayayinam. Sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. So the translation is, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one, O beloved child of the Kurus. The intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Purport. A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavyasa Atmika, intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 62. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruit of activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vāsudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudarlabhaha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vāsudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadan nagati katopi, dhyanyan stu vamstasya yasatri sadyam vande gurushi charnarvindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day, and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically, but practically. When there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities, one who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavineshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Pre Vancha Kalpatriyubhischa Kripasanibhi Evacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Who did not come to the flower festival yesterday? Raise your hand. You guys missed out. Yeah. You know, people in parties, they throw so many wild things, you know, beer, alcohol. But yesterday we were throwing, after offered to Krishna, really beautiful, soft rose petals. And actually, we were throwing it against the crowd. I was in the back with my spiritual master, and he was telling me, let's ambush them, you know, like an attack. So we're throwing it at one another, and everyone had a good time. It's described that in the spiritual world, every step is a dance, every song, every word is a song, and every day is a festival. So that's where we belong. We don't belong in this temporary material world. They say that language is spoken to express the people's experience. And you can look this up. In the dictionary, if you look up the word happiness, there's maybe 2-3 pages of it. But if you look up pain and suffering, there's like 10 pages. So what does that tell you about this world? All of us are experiencing it. They say that the best alarm clock in life is purpose. But when people hear the alarm, what do? Snooze. Not once, not twice, not 5 times, but sometimes 10 times. And so the devotees, when they hear a very wonderful sound, they automatically get up. And what is that sound? Krishna's flute. Dravida Prabhu, if you can please show us. Chad, you want to hold them?
Actually, I get this.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
Okay, let's come back. That's it.
Chad, where are you?
Jai. So the devotees, we hear Krishna's flute. But for the non-devotees, they hear this annoying alarm clock. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he said a very profound statement. He said that the human life begins when he accepts religion, and that is the beginning of human life and the difference between human and animal life. And then he says you never see a cat or a dog entering a temple, a church or a temple, a mosque, because they're simply living. They follow four basic instincts: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And if a human being spends his life living like that, he's no better than a two-legged animal. The human form of life is very rare, although it's temporary. So we should utilize this human form of life. Between birth and death is a life of deeds or actions, isn't it? Ever since we were little, we've been doing so many activities, what to speak of our previous lives. And then people ask, why is there children born blind? Why are there children born with sight? Why are there children on the streets, and then why are there kids born in good families? The only way to answer that is through karma, the laws of action and reaction. So life is about making decisions. There's a nice story. I don't know if many of you know, but I have a twin brother. My uninitiated name was Glennis, and my brother's name is Dennis. And I guess a lot of parents, they like to rhyme their children's names. I had friends, their names were Brian and Ryan. So there's a story about twins. They grew up together. They saw the exact same things in the household. But when they grew up, they were completely different. Their destinies were different. One was locked up in jail, and then the other one became a motivational speaker. And why is this different? They saw a common scene in the house. Their father was drinking. So one child said, I want to be just like my father. So he followed that. And then he led a very destructive life. And that's how he went to jail. But the other son, he saw the nature of drinking, alcoholism, intoxication. And then he said, I don't want to be like this person. So although they saw the same thing, they made different decisions. One chose to be like the father, and then one chose not to be like the father. So every day we're given free will, so we should take the good and not so much with the bad. And you know, drinking, it's a nasty habit, you know. They say when the liquor is in, the truth comes out. And you know, drinking, it's so horrible, you know. Your breath smells, your clothes smell. The next day you have a hangover. Kṛṣṇa, he says that there's different modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Goodness, sometimes it's very bitter in the beginning, but it's nectar. Happiness in the mode of passion is described as it's sweet in the beginning, but it's actually poison in the end. And then happiness in the mode of ignorance is blind to self-realization and it's misery from beginning to end. If you give an animal a cup of alcohol, they wouldn't even touch that. They would run away. But for human beings, we pay for this drink. So that shows a degradation of human society. And my spiritual master, he gave a class today, and he said there's 3 ways of learning. Well, I'll say there's 4. The first is by hearing. For example, if you know stealing is wrong, you hear it, there's consequences. So that's the first best type of learning, is by hearing. The second one is by seeing. You see someone steal, they go to jail. So you say, I'm not going to do that. And the third type of learning is bitter experience. You steal and you go to jail. And the fourth type of learning is you experience all of these and you still don't learn. You continue. How many people have been, in prison yards? Actually, this material world is called Durga. It's another name for fortress. And Krishna says this Daivi Isha Gunamai, that this divine energy of mine, this material world, is very difficult to overcome. It's basically impossible without surrender to Krishna. A king, he constructs a prison house, and if the criminals go there, they have to serve their full sentence. But if the king who made that prison house excuses that person, then he's free. So similarly, Krishna created this whole material world. It's described that this dark material world is only 1/4 of Krishna's creation. The rest are all spiritual. So we're like the rejects, We wanted to come to this material world thinking I'm God. There's a Chinese game called Chinese Whisper. Maybe you've played this as a little kid. What they do is the person in the front, he whispers something, a message to the next person's ear. And it goes on and on. And then the last person, they have to repeat what they heard, right? So we are repeating Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then when it goes to Kali Yuga, that message is distorted into, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So each and every one of us, we have this controlling propensity because all of us are each part and parcel of God. That means that we have the same qualities as Krishna, but to a very small, minute degree. So, decisions. There was a factory in India, and most of the workers, they were Hindus, they were Vaishnavas. And they came to work, wearing Vaishnav tilak, dhoti, kurta, like that. And everyone had a good time. And then all of a sudden there was a shift in management. And the manager was Muslim. And so he said, starting tomorrow, no one is allowed to wear tilak. You have to wear regular clothes. So one brave soul, he said, let me take my chance for Krishna. So he entered the next day wearing tilak. And the boss, he said, this man is very courageous. He is the only one that showed up with tilak. And then he said, he's the only one that's allowed to wear tilak. The rest of you are prohibited. So sometimes we need to take risks like that. When we go out on book distribution, there's so many no's. But Vaisheshika Prabhu, he said, every no is a step closer to a yes. So we continue, and we don't give up. If you guys know Vijay Prabhu, he's a lot of the Sankirtan heroes. He's our hero. I went on books with him one time and I asked him, Vijay, you ever get discouraged? So many people say no. And the first thing he did was laugh at me. He said, no, He said, how many people are interested, And then he used the example, how many people go to Walmart every day? Millions, right? But how many goes to Tiffany Diamonds? Not many people. So people want cheap things. And so when we offer them this valuable jewel, this wonderful knowledge from Srila Prabhupada, they reject it. They say, no, I'm good. But when you look at their life, they're actually miserable. I met an old man. I asked him, what is the purpose of life? And he came back. He said, the purpose of life is to wash a puppy dog. And I said, really? He said, that's the purpose of life. And he walked away. And so you can, it's very sad, you know. They don't know the rare opportunity for a soul in a human form to render devotional service to Krishna. In the Nectar of Devotion, it's described that Krishna can award liberation to anybody. Liberation is not very amazing for Krishna, but he doesn't award devotional service to just anyone. So keep that in mind. And by chanting Krishna's name, that's the beginning of devotional service, by chanting. A person is known by the company they keep. So who do we surround ourselves with? There's a saying, I love this saying because it pertains to me. It says, every sinner has a past, and every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. So what does that mean? That we can change, you know. Do you guys know the difference between change and transformation? Change is reversible. A person can change states, like that, and they can go back. But a transformation is irreversible. An example that's given is a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. It can no longer go back. So Srila Prabhupada's books, they create transformations in the heart, transformations in the consciousness. There was a small water bug, and he was living under the waters with his friends. And they saw something very wonderful happen. When one of their friends would climb up this lily stalk, and once they go above the water, they never see them again. They were wondering what's going on. So this brave water bug, he said, I'll tell you when I go up there. So he marched, you know. He went up the lily stalk. As soon as he went above waters, he grew wings. He became a butterfly. While he was soaring around in the sky, he had this realization. He said, I have to go back and tell my friends what happened. But then he realized three things. One, even if he does go back, his friends cannot recognize him. He's a whole different person. The second realization is he can't. The body that he has no longer allows him to go into the water. And the third realization is that why would he want to? You know, he's stuck in the water, whereas a butterfly, he's free to roam around. So similarly, many of us, before Krishna consciousness, we're living terrible, terrible lives, you know. We don't know what to do. We don't know who we are. Not only that, we're moving very fast towards the wrong direction in life. I started asking people this question on book distribution. I asked, what is the younger generation lacking now? You know, and most people, they said, oh, they lack morals. They lack respect. Someone said, the younger generation, they lack common sense. And then one elder couple, they said they lack meaning and purpose. So after hearing that, I wanted to give a class on this. You know, purpose is a very important factor when we live our lives. And also, depending on who we think we are, we form our activities based on that. If we think we're a father or a mother, we perform those duties. When we think we're a scientist, we go out and do so much crazy research, you know. I met someone, he was a scientist. We're not against science, you know. But I asked him, what does the word theory mean? And he was saying, oh, it's a fact, you know. And so I looked it up. I asked him to read it. And it said it's a theory means a compiled ideas. They're ideas, they're not facts. And he got really angry. So he walked away, you know. But after he came back, he said, you know, I want to know where you have. So he came back, and sometimes you have to use sharp words in order to shake someone, you know. And they say it's difficult to wake up someone who's pretending to sleep. I remember when I was growing up, that alarm clock, beep, beep. My mom, she would just bust down the door, Glenn, it's time to get up. I'll just close my eyes really hard. And then she's yelling and yelling, but I'm not reacting to it. So similarly, there's so many people, they're asleep. And in the Bhagavatam, it says that people are dead, although breathing. The face is an index of the mind, and I see hundreds of people walk by my table, and they look lifeless. They're just wandering from one pointless place to another pointless place. And it's true. So you can imagine. The Srimad Bhagavatam, so how many of you read Bhagavatam before? Srimad Bhagavatam. What I love about the Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes this king. His name is Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, he was the emperor of the whole earth, the whole globe. Like, he had, so much facilities. But he was cursed to die in 7 days. 7 days he was guaranteed to live. Whereas for us, we don't know if the next moment is guaranteed. In a moment, everything can change. Someone can be diagnosed with cancer. Someone can get into an accident, car accident, fatal car accident. And today, my spiritual master was describing there was someone who was training to be an candidate for the Olympics. And he forgot to put chalk on his hands. And he was sweaty. And he slipped and he broke his neck, and then he became a paraplegic. So in a moment, everything can change. So this king, I asked people, if you had 7 days to live, what would you do? And I get two responses. One, I want to enjoy with my family. Right? That's the first thing that comes up. The second one, people say, I want to enjoy as much as I can, unrestricted, sinful activities. And then I tell them that this king, he did the exact opposite. He renounced his whole kingdom like garbage. When you pass through, you don't sit in the toilet and just hang out. No, you flush it, get the heck out, So this king, he said, I have 7 days to live. I better do something. So this king, he did something wonderful. He actually surrounded himself with great sages and saints, and he started asking questions. How should one prepare for death? What should one listen to before leaving this world? And the sages, they congratulated him. They said, Dear king, your questions benefit everyone. The person hearing, the person listening, and anyone else who's inquisitive. So most of us, we don't think like that. When it's our time to go, what will we think of? Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smram bhavam, tyajit yante kalevaram, tam tam ivati konteya sadatad bhava bhavata. Krishna is saying, at the time of death, whatever a person thinks of, whatever is on his mind, at that state he attains without fail. So what do we think of at the time of death? And this actually shows our attachment to this world. At the time of death, what will we think of? Are we thinking of our wife, our husband, our dog, So the consciousness that we have, it transfers to the next body. So then we lose this human form of life. But Krishna consciousness is so nice that it's training us to always think of Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, Krishna is describing how we can see Krishna even in this material world. Krishna says, among the stars, I am the moon. Krishna says, I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the original taste in water. So many ways, every day we can see Krishna. I was distributing books today, and there was this family. They were from Arizona, and the mother and father, they homeschooled their kids, and asked them why. They said that they no longer believed in the modern educational system. And I said, why? They said they don't teach them basic morality. They don't teach them how to respect people. And not only that, but they lack basic skills in life, cooking. I asked someone, how much did you pay for that meal? I see them walking around. They said, X amount of money. I said, do you know how to cook rice? They said, no. How many of you knows how to make rice, cook rice? Yeah. You get whatever amount of cups, you rinse it, because some of them there's, and then you put twice the amount of water. And then you can use fire, or you can use, what do they call it? Rice cooker, rice cooker. But a lot of people, they lack skills like that, Not even that, but just how to say hello, basic communication skills. They don't teach in school. They teach people how to be good work units, And most people, their standards of happiness and their standards of living is very low. Their happiness depends on a paycheck. Yes, we need money, but that shouldn't be the only goal in life. There was a man, his pharmaceutical company burned down. And he took it as Krishna's arrangement. He said, okay, I called the fire department, and he knew nothing can be done. So this is a devotee. Whereas a non-devotee, if their pharmaceutical company burns down, they start blaming others. They blame God. They blame so many things. But Krishna, actually, opportunities are a chance for us to grow and to learn from them. There's a person, he said, don't pray for a nice life. Pray for the strength to endure an easy one or a hard one. There was an old man, and he was riding in a train, and he lost his wallet. And there was a ticket officer. He found this wallet, and he started asking people, whose wallet is this? And the old man raised his hand. He said, can you prove that this is your wallet? The old man says, in the very front, there's a picture of Kṛṣṇa. So the ticket officer, he said, how do you, many people have, a picture of Kṛṣṇa. So the old man narrated his story. He said, when I was little, I used to keep a picture of my parents, They were so dear to me. They were the most important people in my life. And when I grew older, I became more self-conscious. I started having a picture of me. If you look at people's phones, it's kind of strange, now being a devotee, like they have a picture of themselves, And then he said, when I got married, I put a picture of my wife. She was the most important person in my life. And then when they had grandkids, I put pictures of my grandkids in my wallet. Now that my wife, she's no longer here, my sons and daughters, they're too busy with their own family. And my grandkids, they don't even come to visit me. So I said, now I keep this picture of Kṛṣṇa. And he said, if I had kept this picture of Kṛṣṇa in the very beginning, it would have saved me so much suffering and loneliness. Kṛṣṇa is our best friend. Kṛṣṇa is seated in the hearts of every living entity, but we ignore him. If you have a visitor coming, I remember my mom, she would tell my auntie, tell me before you come here, And I would ask my mom, why do you want to know? She used to have to clean everything, to make sure make sure that the house is clean. So since Kṛṣṇa is sitting in our heart, what is our heart, filled with? Greed, envy, material desires. Do you think Kṛṣṇa would want to sit in a filthy place like that? No. So we should fill the heart with compassion, kindness, forgiveness. And it's easy to see that, to do that, when we understand this philosophy of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Growing up, I had no idea about, Kṛṣṇa, Lord Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, chanting. I grew up here in the West. And Prabhupada, he says, most people, they come to America to have this American dream. Devamrita Swami, His Holiness Devamrita Swami, he said, do you know why they call it an American dream? You have to be asleep to believe it. Right. So yeah, this American dream, everyone's chasing it. But those that come here, they end up being hippies. They volunteer to leave their house and they wander in the streets. They come from good families, but anyway. Dr. Martin Luther King, he said, we live in an age of guided missiles and misguided men. It said that in childhood, one is attached to plane. And when he's a young adult, he's attached to romance. And when he reaches old age, he's attached to worrying. You know, he worries about the bills, he worries about his family, he worries about this and that. And in the Bhagavatam, it describes that a human being lives for 100 years at most. And half of those years are spent sleeping, so he only has 50 years. 10 years is spent playing, 10 years in romance, 10 years in worrying. So we actually have 20 years left. But, you know, what are we doing? You know, we're doing this, we're doing that. We're doing so many nonsense. There was a room full of intelligent people. And the leader, the person in charge, he asked, who is the most unhappy person in the world? And everyone gave their feedback, you know. Someone said someone who is in poverty, he's unhappy. Someone said who has disease, he's unhappy. So the room went on. The last person, he says, someone who's envious, he's the most unhappy. And they all agreed that that's true, isn't it? If someone is envious, it gives him pain to see people happy. But now our society is like that. You have a Mercedes, I got to get a Ferrari. You know, you have a Ferrari, I got to get this. You know, we're always comparing ourselves, and to stupid material things. You know, there was once a rich man that I spoke to. He drove a Lamborghini, and I believed him. You know, he had a key. You know, the keys with him. And I said, "What is the purpose of a car?" He said, "To get you from point A to point B." And I just stopped talking, and I just let him reflect on that, you know. So I asked him, "Are you happy?" And then he said, "Yeah, I'm happy," you know. He was with his, I don't know, maybe third trophy wife. So anyway, they walked away. They didn't want to get a book. What interesting is he came back alone. His wife or girlfriend, he wasn't there with them. And he said, "You know, you really shook me." And I said, "Why?" He asked me, because I asked him, "Are you happy?" See, this word happiness is very strange. People may have everything, wealth, followers, and fame, but sometimes their life is so, you can say, meaningless, that their only means of escaping it is suicide. You know, celebrities, musicians, you hear about it, you know. So suicide and depression is a very big problem now. And they say stress is one of the leading causes of that. How many of you heard of stress? There was a group from Colorado today, and I said, there's a word that everyone wants to hear about. It starts with S and it ends with S, you know. And when I told them stress, they were just laughing like crazy, you know. So anyway, so many people, they buy antidepressants. They buy so many, pain medicine. Actually, the pharmaceutical company, they're just getting richer and richer now. They're taking advantage of people's weakness. And the reason why is because they don't teach this fundamental spiritual knowledge, you know. From the very big, Prahlad Maharaj, which is one of our authorities, he says that spiritual life should begin from the very beginning. And not even childhood, but even before that, when the mother is pregnant and the child is in the womb, they should be hearing. And it's been already described that even when the child is in the womb, it can hear. An example is Arjuna's son. What's his name? Abhimanyu, yeah. He was listening how to break, the formation of the war, like that. But the thing is, his mother didn't pay attention, and so he didn't know how to get out of it. And in the Battle of Kurukshetra, all these great generals actually teamed up on this little 16-year-old boy. and they killed him mercilessly like that. And also Prahlad Maharaj, when he was in the womb, he was hearing Bhagavatam from his spiritual master Narada Muni. And so spiritual life begins even in the womb of the mother. You know, we should educate children on Krishna consciousness. Don't raise them to be like another materialist, you know. And we were just reading that Prahlad Maharaj, he said, I've seen it all. My father, Hiranyakashipu, he was a great demon. He took over the whole universe. So you can imagine the opulence he had, the power. He says that with his eyebrow, the rays of it, it trembled. He gave the demigods fear. That's how powerful Hiranyakashipu was. But even after having all of this, all of that was destroyed by Nrsimhadev, an incarnation of Krishna. Most people, they have friends over the computer now. They have relationships over the computer. There was this, there was a person, he married this beautiful girl, you know. They had children. But when the children came out, they were not so good looking like the parents. So the father, he was very angry. What happened, you know? And then the mother, she was chaste, you know, she didn't cheat on him. But then she admitted that before meeting him, she had so many plastic surgery. So the man, he actually sued his wife because people are so superficial now. There's a saying that love at first sight. How many of you heard of this? You know, oh, you look so pretty, you look so handsome, you smell so good. But then the next line is even true. Do you know what that is? Love at first sight, divorce at first fight. You know, if the relationship starts very easily and it ends easily also. And so a relationship should be more meaningful. Sorry, I'm looking at the time. So they say that the most scariest thing for a child is being lost and not knowing where their parents are. I have a niece now. And when my brother and my sister-in-law, when they're out of the room, she cries like crazy, you know. Where's mom? Where's dad? You know, she can't talk yet, but she's screaming like she's being murdered. I remember my grandmother, she was taking me to school, and I used the bathroom, you know, like 2 minutes. When I came out, my grandma was gone. I was panicking. I said, Grandma, where are you? I started crying. I was yelling. And then my grandma comes to me and goes, what are you yelling? So the scariest thing for a child is being lost and not knowing where their parents are. Similarly, all the souls are actually children of Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I'm the seed-giving father to all living entities. So these lost souls are actually very fearful. They're always questioning, you know, when is death coming? And after death, where will I go? There's a group in Balboa Park. They're the friendly neighborhood atheists. And then on their little booth, it says, there's no heaven, there's no hell, just enjoy and relax. Very, actually stupid, you know. How can you know. So we're connecting all the different children back to Krishna, and then they can become happy. And when they're reconnected with Krishna, they automatically have shelter, they have affection. Not only that, but they're nourished. So we cannot fix the problem in society just by opening up hospitals, by schools. We actually have to reconnect them back to the Father, which is Krishna. And to conclude, there's so many distractions in life, but like in the verse was saying, those that are on this path, this Krishna consciousness, their purpose is one, you know, and they know what the goal of life is. It's not to make $1 billion, it's not to get, you know, this and that, but it's to reawaken our dormant love for Krishna. Our love for Krishna is already there, but we just forgot about it. Because this material world is so, she's expert, you know. She can convince a living entity that you're happy. A hog, you don't see this in the US, but a hog in India, it roams around in filth. Like it's horrible, and it raises its children in the trash, you know. And they eat trash, and they don't discriminate who they mate with. They don't care if it's the sister, the daughter, they just mate with anyone. So that's a hellish life. And one more story. King Indra, he's the king of heaven. You know, he has so much facilities for sense gratification. He committed an offense to his spiritual master, Brihaspati. And Brihaspati, he cursed him. He said, I curse you to take the body of a hog. And King Indra, he fell from his position, and he was living a hog life. Imagine that. Eating trash, you know, stool, urine. And then there was some problem in the heavenly planets. So Lord Brahma told King Indra, please come back to your heavenly abode. You know, you have your duties to perform. King Indra, he said, why should I leave? You know? I'm already in hog heaven, you know. I have my piglets, I have my family, you know. So similar devotees are inviting everyone, please come back to the spiritual world with Krishna. But we refuse. We don't want to go. We want to remain here. We want to grow old, we want to get diseased, we want to die, and then we want to repeat this process. So, but the devotees, we don't give up, you know, we keep trying. Hey, chant Hare Krishna, you know, take this book, take this prasadam. Okay, so I'll conclude. They say this life is a rental, you know, everyone knows that. At the end of life, we have to give everything back. I remember I had a little book, you know, I was in elementary school. And I loved this book, it was a joke book, you know, I love jokes. So I didn't want to give it up, you know. And then my mom, she told me, if you don't give it up, you have to pay for it. And I said, okay, take it. So even the dearest things in this world, we have to somehow give up, you know. Everything is a rental. The cars, the house, the bank balance, all of that. We have to give it up. So someone with a little intelligence, they search for something that is permanent. And that is devotional service to Krishna. In this life, we're serving Krishna. In the next life, we're serving Krishna. And then like that, it's an eternal engagement. They're trying to find immortality. But the question is, even if they find immortality, what are they doing? See? They don't know. Because they don't know about devotional service. They don't know the glorious benefits of serving Krishna. Just like in the purport was saying, when you water the root of a tree, the whole tree is nourished. So when we please Krishna, human society can actually be benefited. Okay, I'll end here. Are there any questions, comments?
Yes.
Yes, Dravida Prabhu.
If you'll allow me, I'd like to summarize your class.
Please.
Don't waste this precious human life, dear friend, by working hard for hoggish happiness. Through bhakti yoga, worldly life transcend and learn to taste divine love's endless bliss. I just made that. No, I didn't say that.
Yeah. So when we hear Krishna's flute, Chad? So when we hear this sound, we should wake up.
Okay. I have to give a comment on that. This Hare Krishna mantra that you see here it attracts you to Krishna. If you chant it, you find that you're becoming attracted to Krishna. And it's said in the Shastra that this is a manifestation of Krishna's flute sound in the material world. Now, if you know anything about Krishna Lila, when he played that flute, the gopis, they were attracted He couldn't help himself into the forest. So when we chant Hare Krishna, then we're gradually becoming more and more attracted to Krishna, and we lose our attraction for the material which is keeping us bound in this world of birth and death. Haribol.
Thank you. Anyone? Okay. So I think we're going to have some announcements. Dainiri Prabhu, Mukunda Charna Prabhu. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have a nice kirtan. Okay.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Today, before the Sunday feast, we had a very nice Harinam party. Went down to the boardwalk, and we chanted, and we met the public, and we let them know about the Sunday feast program. It was very blissful, and the people that went, they got a lot of mercy, as well as the public. So this is going to be a program we're going to be doing all throughout the summer. We start at 4 o'clock, and just assemble in the front, go down to the beach for about an hour, meet the people, let them know we're here and what we're doing. And anyone who joins us will be given lots of mercy. Krishna will definitely reciprocate.
So I've been told that there's one announcement. The Sunday feast is not sponsored, so if you could get a ticket in the gift shop, I think it's only like $6. But you get wonderful prasadam, cooked by our own Kṛṣṇa Das Brahmachari. He had a lot of training, you know. So if it tastes good, that's Kṛṣṇa. If it doesn't, it's someone else, okay? Just kidding. Okay. Thank you for your time and attention. Hare Krishna.